Hey everyone, welcome back to the Cool Water Show over here on Silent Podcast, where we are anything but silent. Today, we are giving you an episode solely focused on some of our favorite women in the Real Housewives universe, the ladies of Potomac, our Real Housewives of Potomac. I'm Kari. I'm joined by my co host, Katie. Katie, how are you on this Wednesday?
I'm good. I am officially done with work for the holiday season. For the 2023,
Nice.
I'm done. For 2022, oh my God, I'm done working. And now I'm here. I'm catching up on Miami Housewives. I'm speeding through. I'm in season 4 already, like halfway done. So I'm like almost caught up. And I'm good. I'm ready to talk about our jam-packed Potomac super-sized special because we haven't been talking about Housewives for a couple of weeks now. We've been on a
Yeah,
hiatus.
we are back from our hiatus, and uh, we got toppled by one holiday season, and
We
then
did.
the country of Romania took us
Yes.
out. But
Yes.
in honor of the birth of Jesus, we're back.
Happy birthday, Jesus. We are back
Yes,
as a gift to
we
you.
here's our gift. Please take it, Mary,
Yes.
Joseph, and friends.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad to hear that you are cruising through Miami. Not to derail this podcast
Yeah.
right at the top of it, but what are you thinking?
I'm loving it. It's like, I know we've talked about this and because we haven't been covering Miami, and maybe it's just like easier to speed through a show that we're not covering because we don't have to pay super close attention. But I just feel like it has such a different vibe than every other
Mhm.
Housewives where it's like they're funny. It's like the air is much lighter. It's really not like that deep or dark in terms of like the storylines, but it's like but there's real stuff happening. Like I just saw
Mhm.
Alexia and her son fighting with her fiance, and like even my partner Matt who's watching with me, he's like, this is one of the realest scenes I've ever seen on Housewives. I was like, yeah, these ladies are really like keeping it real for us, and I'm
Mhm.
loving it. I'm loving it.
Yeah, I have fully enjoyed my Miami experience, and um, the fact that you're catching up just makes me so
Yeah.
happy. We're gonna
Well,
have to
once
do
I'm
like
fully
a
caught up, we'll cover it. We can cover it.
yeah. We'll do a solo Miami episode. We have a
Yeah.
solo Salt Lake City episode coming up. Doing some focal points so that we
I'll
can get
probably
caught
be
up.
done by tomorrow, to be honest, with the speed with the
Oh yeah,
pace
because
I'm
you're not
going.
working.
I'm not
Perfect.
working.
Yeah. Well, good news is I have nowhere to go come like 1 p.m. tomorrow because Chicago is getting a blizzard.
Yes.
So I am working, but post 5 p.m. I'll have some time, and
Perfect.
so we'll get caught up. We'll bring you the joy of Miami because I feel like the closest I can relate it to is New Jersey, but like New Jersey
Yeah.
is it feels like New Jersey runs a little deeper because especially at the beginning, it's like so family
Yeah.
involved with like everybody being related to a Manzo at one point in their life, and
Yes.
like these women aren't related but have like what seems to be genuine connections, and that is always helpful. We know that when they're actually friends and not just like six rich women cast to spend time together.
Yes. I mean, we've talked about this with almost every franchise is that the key to them being successful is actually having real relationships. When you just put like a random mix of people together, sometimes it can be entertaining for a little while, but like it really is key to housewife success. And that's what is so good about Potomac. That's what's so good about Jersey. That's what's so good about Miami. And even like, when Orange County is good, it's because they're actually friends. When Beverly Hills is good, it's when, well, they have alliances in Beverly. That's a whole different story. That's almost never good. But yeah, I love Alexia and Marisol's friendship. I love that they're actually friends. Like, I love that these women have been friends since like the beginning, and then they
Hmm.
stayed friends through this like 10-year hiatus or however long it was
Yeah.
until the show came back, and you can really tell that they're besties. I like it.
Yeah, and I mean, even with the last episode that has happened in this like last season, I'm sure
Hmm.
you've seen it on the internet with
I've
like
been trying my best to avoid because I've never
avoid.
gone in unspoiled, or yeah, I guess I've never gone in unspoiled into a Housewives. Like I've always either had it spoiled for me on the internet or been like watching in real
Mhm.
time. So I'm enjoying this binge. So I've been trying to avoid, but I know there's like Lisa and Lenny stuff,
Right,
hot
and that's
mic
exactly what I was
stuff.
about to say. It was like
Yeah.
the reaction from the women when they find out about Lisa and Lenny is very genuine in my opinion because like each one of them has such a different, but yet like there is a theme to just
Mm-hmm.
genuine care, concern, but also like shock at the news that she's relaying.
Yeah.
Um, you just see that like the relationships within Miami are are different with the drama they bring. It's I feel like it's very like high speed as well. Like
Yes.
something happens, there's drama. It's not like for the whole entire season.
Yes.
They get over things quickly, which allows like other storylines to come up and it doesn't drag. I very much like Miami.
Yeah, it's great. I'm really, really liking it. And I regret putting it off for so long. But I'm excited to be close to caught up so I can be in real time with the rest of the world.
Nice, nice. Well,
Also, the New Jersey trailer came out today.
yeah, I saw. I was telling you before we started podcasting that I miss being new at work because I
Yeah.
am getting my ass handed to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I saw a tweet, I think probably like while I was on Twitter in the bathroom, that it's like starting February 7th.
Yep, coming up. It'll be here before we know it.
And so I didn't watch yet. Did you watch it?
I did. And it looks like a lot of, to be honest, some of like recycled story from last season, but the two new
Mm-hmm.
housewives look interesting. And we really see some drama with Louis and Joe in the trailer. And I have to say, I've never been more excited to see Louis threaten to kick Joe Gorga's ass. Like, nothing has ever excited me more. Because I'm like, yeah, kick Joe Gorga's ass. That's what I want to see. And like, I'm rooting hard for Louis so far. Hopefully, I'm more ready and willing to eat my words on that because we know he's pretty shady. Who knows? But like, I'm firmly on Team Louis in the Louis versus Joe.
Yeah, and what's like, I guess a little difficult is that we know there's been such a fallout in that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like knowing the end of the story, and now we need to go back to the beginning and see.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we saw some of the stuff last season, but when we left last season, Louis was asking for Joe's permission to get
Yep.
married to Teresa. So,
And then they don't even go to the wedding.
right. Which means we've
Pretty
got a
wild.
lot to be filled in on. Hopefully, we get to see a lot of it. And because we know that Teresa's very protective of her family. So,
It seems like we're gonna see it. That's
okay.
that's the vibe I get. We don't see a ton in the trailer, but just the way like Joe and Melissa have been acting so publicly anti
Mhm.
Teresa, and Teresa's even been like, you know what? I wish them well, but like they're out of my lives forever at this point. And she's kind of just saying like now she's rewatching the show, which she never watched the show when she was on it. Like famously does not watch the show. She's going
Mhm.
back and she's watching it, and she's been on some podcasts and stuff, and she's talked about how upsetting a lot of the things that she's seen from the past and how they talked about her back then because she didn't know.
Mhm.
Which maybe she did, maybe she didn't. I don't know, but she's sticking to the fact that she didn't know. So she's kind of she's coming out swinging too. So I think we'll see some of it. I think she's done. I think she's done protecting.
We will see starting February 7th.
I can't wait. I'm excited.
Wow.
My favorite ladies.
Do we think that either of these seasons are going to be done by February 7th? Are we going to have 4 seasons of Housewives running concurrently?
I hope and pray, happy birthday, Jesus, that Salt Lake City will be over by then. Or
'Cause
maybe
Salt
it'll
Lake
just be
City,
over for me personally,
yeah,
which I say that I talk a big game, but I always stick around, unfortunately.
because Salt Lake City and Potomac, I think, are both on episode 11. I think they're on the same episode
Mm,
number. So if we're getting like an 18 to 22 episode season, depending
oh,
on
God.
reunions and stuff, there's a chance that we're running 4.
Four deep
Yeah, I guess it depends
with
on how
Miami.
many. Yeah, but that I think will be going at the
That'll probably be a
same
little
time.
shorter. I don't know. How long was the last season? That wasn't a full season, was it?
I can't remember to be honest. Maybe so yeah, so maybe that will end beforehand
Oh, boy.
because it helped with them dropping 4 episodes week 1, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we're only getting an episode a week after that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Wow. Okay.
Oh,
Well,
boy.
back to our women of Potomac, who we
Yes.
haven't
Now
gotten
let's
to
dive
talk
in.
about in a while. When we last left them, they were heading to Miami.
Mm-hmm.
And Miami ended up being a bit of a shit show. Go figure.
Yeah, it did. It sure did. Like not even a bit of a shit show, like a pretty large shit show.
Hmm. And we had drama in different between different people in different ways. And I think the maybe the best way to talk about it is through like the major conflicts and kind of
Sure.
like where people fell in these. So I think the first and the one that people remember the most is going to be Wendy versus Mia.
Yeah. Yep.
So if we were to describe what happened at dinner, we have Wendy sitting at the end of a table and Mia sitting at least one person away. Was Ashley in between her as well? Or was she at the
No,
far
I
end?
think it was Karen
Ashley was
that
on the other
was.
side.
Yeah, I think
Karen
it
was
was
in
just.
between.
Yeah.
Okay. So they start talking about Peter, aka Cynthia Bailey's ex husband. And apparently, Mia runs deep with Peter.
Yeah. Sounds like pretty deep based on what we learned this episode, this past week.
Right. Wasn't okay. What was said about it? Because I will admit that I was working while watching.
No,
So,
that's fine. I
but
think it was
boss checked my
revealed.
calendar and all my stuff. I swear I was getting stuff done if you're listening to me.
I think it was revealed that they being Gordon and Wendy had sex with Peter's girlfriend at the time.
Right.
Or
Okay.
before she was his girlfriend or something like that. And then
I
they
thought
introduced her
that's
to Peter.
yeah, I thought that's what I heard.
Yes.
And I'm glad you were able to confirm that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's Eskimo brothers and sisters happening all over
All
the
over the
place.
place. All over the place.
And Mia tells everyone that Peter's like a brother to her. He's like family. And Wendy, we saw at the beginning of the season, was supposed to open a Nigerian lounge with
Hmm.
Peter, and she was supposed to be like 20% of the funding on it. He sent her a contract to look over. She never got back to him after receiving that contract. And Peter says to Mia, like, oh, I've got beef with Wendy. All your girls are down there. Well, I got beef with Wendy.
Yeah. So naturally, she takes them to Bar One, Peter's
Right.
restaurant.
I mean, where else would you bring them?
Yeah, there's only one restaurant in all of Miami, so
And it's
there was no
Peter's.
other option. Yeah, just happens to be Peter's.
So when Peter comes up at dinner, Mia says things along the lines of like, he has beef with you, Wendy. Why didn't you answer him? You're supposed to be working with him. And why didn't you call him to tell him that you were in Miami?
Hmm.
To which Wendy's like, he's not my husband. I don't call men that aren't my husband. I don't need to tell men who aren't my husband where
Hmm.
I am.
It's not a business trip.
And, right. And Mia reacts by throwing a drink at Wendy.
Yep.
People get up. People start yelling at each other, specifically Wendy and Mia. And Robin Dixon starts recording, which the editors had a funny moment there with like
They
their version
did.
of TMZ
Yeah.
for Robin.
Yeah.
Wendy walks away. Mia walks away. There's the drama.
Important to note that Candace is not there for this.
Yeah. Surprisingly, a near fight goes down and Candace is not involved.
Yeah, Candace is not there.
Congrats on that one, Candace. Proud
Yeah.
of you.
Yeah.
So, what are you thinking with all this? Where are you standing with this conflict?
You know, I've gone back and forth. Well, I don't want to say I've gone back and forth. I started in one place and I ended in a very different place. Because at first I was like, Wendy did kind of come in a little hot with like, Peter's not my husband. Why do I have to call him? And she kind of like took it to a place where I felt maybe it didn't warrant right away. But after thinking through it and then like rewatching the scene, I'm firmly on Team Wendy, and I think Mia is trash. And I think Robin is trash for the way that she handled the situation, and I think Giselle is also trash, which is hard for me because I am a firm Giselle and Robin supporter, and I've really changed. I've flipped on a lot of the women this season on Real Housewives of Potomac, and it's hard for me to come to terms with.
Interesting. I definitely am not on Team Mia with this. I did think it was like weird for a weird way for Wendy to like negate what Mia was saying, bring up like, well, he's not my husband. And you brought up the point, like, it's not a business trip, which it makes sense. I just
Yeah, it
like
took
to
me
say,
a
like,
minute. It took me a minute to get there because at first I was like, why is she so annoyed about a question about Peter? Like, and then she kind of started throwing things at Wendy, like, maybe you guys have sex with other people, but that's not how me. And I
mm-hmm.
was like, whoa, this kind of like jumped to a place where I wasn't expecting it to jump to. But there's no excuse for Mia reacting the way that she did. And there's also no excuse, like, why is Mia even getting herself involved in like Peter and Wendy's business dealings? Like, it's none of your business. And she's just stirring shit just to stir shit. And it took me a minute to like ground myself in reality. Cause at first I was like, whoa, like Wendy's kind of coming in hot. Like, I don't really get why she's reacting that way. And then I'm like, hold on, let me get back into reality. Mia's an asshole. And like the way she reacted was completely out of line.
Yeah, I agree that Mia shouldn't be involved in this. It's not her business. They're adults.
Yeah.
I just the way Wendy made her point, I thought was strange. However,
Yeah. Yeah.
I am on Team Wendy with this. I I thought what Robin did was kind of funny, but in terms of recording it, however, I think that her just like agreeing with Mia and Giselle agreeing with Mia because of their dislike for Wendy
Yeah.
was very much like an emotional decision. And especially Robin, more than any of them, tends to lead with like logic and
Yeah.
reason thinking. So her filming it and trying to like be on Mia's side, it was like, oof, not a great look, especially like coupled with something that happens later. I think Robin had a tough couple of episodes, but I do think that Robin rebounds later on. I think Robin puts her work back in as a staunch Robin defender.
Yeah.
I think she does try to redeem herself. Where I just think that Giselle's on the show to stir shit,
Yes. Very much so.
and I think in that moment, especially because Wendy had made Robin mad that like she's gonna go with Mia regardless, but I think Giselle, as much as she stirs shit, if she were to take, you know how Karen kind of like plays both sides in a
Mm-hmm.
way?
Mm-hmm.
I think that if a little bit more often Giselle took like the peacemaker role, it would justify how much she stirs shit in a way.
Yeah.
Like, give us a bit more of an equilibrium there
Yeah.
because I just think that it's hard to defend Mia's actions in this, especially with like how strongly so many of them reacted with Candace and Monique.
Well, that's the thing. And I think a lot of them are really quick to point the finger at Wendy for being antagonistic after she had a drink thrown in her face almost unprovoked, we can say. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, she was kind of like, oh, that's not, maybe that's what you and your husband do, but like Mia took it from 0 to 100 really quick and just like launched a drink in her face because she's trying to make a moment on TV. Like it's very
Mm-hmm.
clear that she stirred this up just to have a storyline with Peter and like stir the drama and have a moment. And she threw a drink. She really thought she was doing something. And Wendy, of course, got upset and then was in a complete like defensive mode. And then they were so quick to call her antagonistic and say, like, you're being antagonistic and you're antagonizing the situation. When Mia is the one who made it physical, Wendy
Mm-hmm.
had to then defend herself and she was doing it verbally. She didn't get physical. She stood up and whatever, but she didn't get
Mm-hmm.
physical. She was never physically threatening Mia, really. And for Robin to then record only Wendy when Wendy
Mm-hmm.
is the one who, I don't know, do we call throwing a drink in someone's face assault? I don't really know if that's assault or not, but if it is, was assaulted maybe by
Mm-hmm.
her or not, if physically encroached upon in her personal
Mm-hmm.
space by by Mia. Oh my God. I keep doing that. Why is Robin only filming Wendy? What is this? What is the purpose of this? This would be very much granted, Monique got much more physical with Candace, like much more physical. That was actually, she assaulted Candace. Why? That would be like if they were recording Candace at the time and saying, well, like, you're being antagonistic. Just because Mia didn't take it to that level, there's still it's still a physical altercation that shouldn't have become physical. And they took a very staunch stance last season against, or 2 seasons ago, against Monique because of how physical she got, and they didn't want to be involved in a show where that was, with, as black women, they didn't want to have this stereotype, which is all fair. Everything that they said at that time, I believe, was fair, but it's okay when it's against someone that you don't like. That was only because you were friends with Candace at the time. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
It's super hypocritical. And I know they were on I think they were on Watch What Happens Live. I didn't watch it on Sunday, but there are clips going around saying it's like comparing apples and oranges. Like, yeah, maybe the actual physical violence was comparing apples and oranges, but the fact that it got to that level is not. And then the outcome of it is not. Like, you guys are being hypocritical. And then that they just let Wendy stay on the trip by herself the whole time, and the only people to check on her were Ashley, Karen, and Candace, was like so gross to me. Like, whatever, you don't like her, but put it aside. Like, that's your coworker and someone that you're on a trip with and used to be friends with. Like, it just is kind of gross. And to treat Mia like she was the victim, I don't understand the mindset of any of it at all.
This batch of episodes, more than anything, has made it very apparent to me that Mia is trying to create reasoning to bring her back for next season.
Yes. Mia, to me, is just like, her actions are like really just like low down and gross to me. The way that she reacted after that, especially when Wendy apologized to her, like, it was just so nasty that I'm just like, you are just clearly like a fake person that just wants to be on TV, and you need to reevaluate your life and your choices.
Yeah, I'm not a Mia fan at all after how all this has happened and her reaction to it, and the way that later on, so post the fight, Mia says she's going to try and go home. Wendy says she's going to try and go home. Wendy ends up staying in a hotel on her own and doesn't leave. And Mia stays as well. But Candace gets there, and Candace and Ashley come together over their differences, along with Karen to go and check in on Wendy.
Yeah.
And for Mia to be like, the two of you don't have a place to stay, but Karen does. And just like, why? What are you doing? What are
just
you
because they're going to
accomplishing?
check on their friend who literally, you threw a drink in her face and now she can't be at the house and no one's checking on her. You expect her to just be there alone? Like, it's completely wild to me. Like, just so over the top, the reaction to all of that stuff. And especially how she was telling Karen, like, oh, well, you're not my friend. You're like clearly not my friend because I threw a party for you, or I'm not throwing a birthday party for you because you went and had lunch with Wendy. Like, what?
It's the level of petty that Mia is bringing to all of this. It exceeds like the level of petty that Potomac usually has. And I feel like Potomac like has instances of petty,
Yes.
but this is prolonged and carry it out.
Yes.
And it doesn't need to be.
It does not need to be.
Another question I have for you regarding this is, what does Wendy gain from being on this show? Like, if I was Wendy after last season and then this season, to have to feel obligated to be calling out, like, okay, you and your husband have sex with all these different people, and like, I'm a professor, what are you? Like, you don't know what a boss is, all this stuff, like, and having to be put on the defensive and just having to like raise her voice and yell at women in public. And I'm not saying that like it's her fault for any of these things, but in the role that she has within society as a professor at Johns Hopkins and makes TV appearances about like smart things like politics,
on CNN.
and
Yeah, she's on
like,
CNN.
why are you here? Like, why are you choosing to do this? I guess because to me, the juice just isn't worth the squeeze from Wendy's perspective, unless there's something that we don't know about. Sure, like, it's a paycheck, it gets you on TV, but it just seems like I don't want to say that Wendy's above it, but it just doesn't seem like the right character fit, maybe, is the best way of putting it.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think it's interesting because Wendy's already clearly a very accomplished woman. like extremely accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like a lot of the times people go on the Housewives to become more accomplished. And
Mm-hmm.
I almost feel like this could potentially tarnish Wendy's other accomplishments just for because she's getting down low in the dirt with some of these women. And I think she does. Wendy, I do feel carries herself for the most part really well. I don't always agree with Wendy, and she's not my favorite housewife. I do find her kind of boring sometimes, but I have a lot of respect for her. I just, yeah, I kind of agree. Maybe the juice isn't worth the squeeze unless she's getting paid a lot of money. I don't really know. But like, I'm kind of also confused about like, what is it? What is her next endeavor? Like, she's selling candles. She's doing like
Right.
a home line. Now she wants to open a restaurant, but like, you're also a professor and you're a keynote speaker at, I forget what she said she was a keynote speaker at, this a women's something conference, college something. She's on CNN doing commentate, like being a commentator. Like, how does that then pivot you into like selling candles and doing like home goods? I don't get it.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like Housewives is the avenue that makes sense for Wendy. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
bringing like Giselle coming on, it makes sense. How
Yep.
many roles has she like picked up from having more publicity in
Yeah.
like this, it like for acting? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think that Housewives has probably helped her a bit in terms of things we're seeing her in outside of it. Like to me, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just said Giselle. I meant Garcelle. Garcelle
Yes. Yes. Yes.
from my bad. Is when I said Giselle, I'm like, that's not her name. I'm gonna keep talking. Garcelle in Beverly Hills. Like to me, that makes sense. But like for Wendy, what I just don't get why she's here.
Mm-hmm.
What is she getting out of this? What is it helping besides her bank account? I guess, you
Right.
know, that it just doesn't seem like she needs this to help her bank account.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
And watching this all go down where she's getting yelled at and yelling at Mia in this public venue in Miami, just to me, I'd be like, what am I doing this for? Like, what am
Right.
I doing here?
Right.
Why?
To be fighting with a
What?
loser like Mia. Like Mia's a fucking
Right.
loser. Let's just put it out on the table. She's a loser.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we have this fight. There's fallout throughout the rest of the trip, like we said. Some of the women miss things so that they can go and hang out with Wendy, so that Wendy's not
Mm-hmm.
on her own the whole time. Mia will not allow Wendy to come to things. She tries to take housing away from Ashley and Candace, to
Yeah, she
which,
like doesn't even let her come to the beach or whatever. They're like, we want to
right.
invite Wendy, and she's like, I already said no. It's like, oh, okay. I didn't realize that you were in charge of every single place in Miami and every single thing that happens on this trip.
I'm also so sick of Jacqueline.
Jacqueline is the most. I mean, I guess if you're really coming on as a friend of, she's fitting the role because she is like the only friend of Mia and like is her literal spokesperson. Is that what Candace called her? Like her mouthpiece or her spokesperson? I mean,
Yeah.
that's literally what she is. She literally was speaking for Mia when talking to Karen. It's just like, is this your whole like what's the situation here? And this is where when Giselle is a menace, I'm okay with it because I want to know
Mm-hmm.
what's going on in this relationship between
Yeah.
Jacqueline and Mia. Focus your energy there, Giselle.
Yeah, I do think that Giselle did try to talk some sense into Mia during one of the instances where Mia's like, no, absolutely not. When it came down to, I think it was with like the housing stuff, saying you can't
Yeah.
stay here,
Yeah.
saying like, you made these accommodations. They are not doing anything to harm you. They are just
Right.
checking in on someone else. Like, get over yourself.
Yeah.
But the funniest part of that whole situation for me was Karen not getting a drop of that drink on her despite sitting in between.
Amazing.
And she's
When she said
Giselle
God loves
says,
me or
yeah.
something.
Giselle's like, how did you not get any drink on you? And she's like, God loves
Yes.
me.
Yes. And then didn't she say she was like Neo from the Matrix? And there she was like, whew, and
Yeah.
that was just very funny. There was a lot of funny things happening at that table while the fight was
Mm-hmm.
happening. Mostly Karen. Um, but yeah, I'm just even the way Robin was acting throughout that whole trip. She kind of like flipped the script on Candace and was like, Candace is being a butt, like she's being an asshole. And I'm like, maybe let's think about how like this situation might be a little triggering for her, given what happened with Monique, and then seeing all of you guys being anti Mia. It's just kind of like I can understand why she was in a mindset where she wasn't like having the best time.
Mm-hmm.
And so for Robin to then like get on attack mode against Candace for seemingly like no reason instead of just having a conversation with her, it just seemed like I didn't like the energy Robin was putting out in all of these Miami episodes. And even this week, I didn't really love it, I have to say.
What did she do this week?
I felt like when Wendy was talking to her and apologizing to her, she was kind of like very standoffish. And Wendy's like, well, I'm coming to you again. And we had this conversation in Miami. And like, I'm here with you wanting to apologize and like bring our friendship back and like get back in a good place. And Robin's like, okay. It just didn't seem like she was super receptive. When it's like, okay, she's coming to you as an adult. Like, just put it to the side for now and see if you can move forward. That's all that needs to happen here.
Yeah. I think that was okay. So that happened last week because Wendy was like laid up in a hospital this week.
Oh, okay.
With her
I
9
watched them back to
centimeter
back.
long kidney stone.
Right. Okay. That was last week.
That's crazy. That's
Yes.
huge.
Yes.
9 centimeters is like 4.5 inches.
What?
Yeah. Because a centimeter, 2.2 centimeters, I think is an inch. So we're at like 4, maybe not 4.5, but like 4-ish inches.
Okay, my dumb ass was thinking like, oh, 12 centimeters is an inch. And like, that's not true. But you know, I can't measure sizes. We've talked about this. I can't measure feet. I can't do any of that. Include centimeters in that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm very confident it's 2.2 centimeters. So I usually just round it to 2.
Wow.
2.2 centimeters.
Okay, well, that's
it's pretty
brand new news to me. Never been taught that in school. Just kidding. I definitely was. I just don't remember.
You probably no. I doubt that you were taught centimeters to inches because that's just like not that's not like conversion worth knowing. I just taught math for 11 years, but like
2.54 according to Google.
Oh, okay. There we go. So 2.5, yeah. So we're at about 4 inches, which is still huge to have as like a foreign object in your body.
Gigantic.
Inside your kidney.
Yes. Oh my God, that's horrible.
Are kidney stones actually in your kidney? Is that a stupid thing to ask? I always assumed that's where their homes were.
I know you have to pass them through your urethra, and that's why it's like so horrible for men.
And she couldn't do that because of how large it was, so that's why she had the surgery.
Oh my God. Wait, okay. Are kidney stones in your kidney?
Google's like,
kidney stones form in your kidneys. Okay, yeah. Okay. And the stones move into your ureters? The thin tubes that allow urine to pass from your kidneys to your bladder. Ureters. I guess it's like your urethra?
Yeah. We can say that. I mean, we just lost 3 live viewers in this conversation.
Sorry, guys. But... Sorry. So sorry. So we're asking the questions that no one else is brave enough to ask, you know? Right. Are kidney stones in your kidney and how many centimeters are truly in an inch?
There we go. If you aren't learning things from this, then why are you here?
Exactly.
Like, why?
Exactly.
So yeah, Wendy was laid up this week. But yeah, the apology before, I get what you're saying with that. I can include that in the Robin. Like, I will save my judgment on Robin because I love her.
I love her too. I'm just disappointed.
When we get like Wendy back on her feet and see how they interact through the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Robin and Candace next then. Because while in Miami, Candace got very frustrated with basically everyone. And I can't remember why, though.
It's because of the Mia situation, right?
Oh, okay. I think so.
And because they're being hypocritical.
Yeah. And she jumps on Instagram Live and is like, all these bitches are fake as fuck. And continues on, to which Robin, while taking a poop, discovers it.
Second one of the day.
Yep. And is like, to Giselle, did you hear what Candace said about us on Instagram Live. So then Robin pulls to me what is like a Giselle level of petty, like
Yeah.
the wearing the t-shirt to
Mm-hmm.
Karen's like
Free Uncle Ben.
exactly
Yeah.
and level of petty, and at dinner pulls out a Bluetooth speaker and starts playing Candace's Instagram Live
Yep.
at the table for everyone.
Which I have to say, I'm impressed that Robin was technically savvy enough to do that because I am relatively 6 out of 10 technically savvy, maybe 7 out of 10.
I'll give you at
I
least a 7.
thank you. I would not know how to like Bluetooth, like AirPlay or like play over Bluetooth an Instagram video. Unless it was like a recording of it, then I could figure it out. But I'm like, how did she do that? Maybe it's just easy and I'm just a dummy. But like, I just don't
If
pay
I were
attention to Instagram.
to do this, I would well, when you
Screen
screen
record.
record, does it record audio?
Yeah, I think it does. Okay, so yeah, maybe she screen recorded it and then played it from her thing. That I would be able to do. But
Yeah,
I
that
thought
would
I
make
just
sense.
assumed she was like in the Instagram app or on whatever blog posted the thing.
Yeah.
Because apparently she found it on a blog.
Right. I think like it was sent to her or something.
Right. And like, when you watch a video embedded on these mobile websites, it's just like it wreaks havoc on your phone. It's like you can barely even play them unless it's on YouTube.
Yeah. Even then.
Yeah.
So Candace gets pretty upset by this, especially because we find out later when Candace and Robin talk about it. Candace is like, "You're the one person I wouldn't expect to do something like this to me. Why didn't you come talk to me about it?"
Yeah. And I think she said later in the video that she specifically said like Robin wasn't included or Karen wasn't. One of them was not included in the statement.
I think Karen,
Okay. Okay.
because Robin was like, "Well, why am I included in the statement?" When, especially with this Chris stuff, like I've had your back more
Yeah.
than anybody. I've been telling people like back off or whatever. And Candace was upset with how it was done. Robin was upset that she was included. Based off of your previous statements, you don't seem to be a fan of how Robin handled this, but please, where are you with this situation?
My toxic trait is that I'm always Team Candace, no matter what, even when she's in the wrong. So I love Candace. I have loved Candace since she came on the show, as problematic as maybe she, not like problematic in the sense of like, oh, she's problematic, but as like, as messy and like sometimes rude or whatever she used to be. I think she's one of my favorite housewives. I really just genuinely think that she's a great addition to this show. And we're finally, Candace fans are getting our comeuppance. She's finally is being shown in a more positive light and is in the right in this situation. Well, she was in the right in the situation with Monique too, but I think she got, kind of maligned all over the internet during that. And I think finally with the Chris stuff, like it's very clear they're planning a Candace and Chris takedown because like Michael Darby's gone and they can't do it to him. I think Robin, I think it's kind of silly because like Candace obviously didn't say it behind their backs. She put it on Instagram Live. So it's like, I'm almost like you guys are on TV and she's going on Instagram to talk about like the filming of the show. And maybe you shouldn't take it so personally because it's not like she's like literally going behind your back to like someone else, like a Karen, and saying like, fuck Robin, she's a fake ass bitch. When like it's just on Instagram Live and she's just like talking to random people. It just doesn't feel, it's like she's doing it publicly. It almost feels like she's putting on a show for people. It just doesn't feel like it's a real thing to me. So to get so offended on behalf of everyone because she just said like everybody's fake, who cares to me? That's how I feel. And if like, I agree with Candace of like, come have a conversation. Why are you ambushing her with like an Amazon Echo on the table or like a bootleg Amazon Echo on the table? Instead and playing the whole thing and be like, did you guys hear this? When she really didn't even say anything that bad. It wasn't like she was like, well, fuck Karen because of this and like fuck you Robin because of this and like saying really personal stuff. It was just like everybody's fake as fuck. Big deal. Who cares? Also, like, you guys are sorry, you're on a show. That's the whole purpose of the show. That's the whole purpose of the show. It was a little over the top for me, especially to be just so offended. Like, why are you so offended by this?
I'm not justifying, but here's where I could understand if this was the line of thinking. Public actions, like that was a public action. You went
Mm-hmm.
on your Instagram live and she took what was, at least in the moment, something that was happening in Miami. Her frustration, it was on this girl trip. Like, yeah, sure, in a few months it's going to be aired to whoever wants to watch it. But in that moment is within the
That's fair.
confines of these 7, 8 women, however many are there at this point. I don't even know. And to then bring it to Instagram, while I do think the mature and responsible and more often than not what Robin does type of thing is go and talk to Candace one-on-one. If you're going to put this on blast on Instagram where anyone can see it, the blogs are going to pick up on it. The internet's going to do whatever it
Mm-hmm.
does. Still, what Robin was doing in that moment, like, again, yes, the cameras are there. It was within the confines of just those women. And so, like, if you're going to put something out so publicly, then you better be ready for the repercussions publicly. And even then it wasn't that public, like it was
Yeah.
still those women at dinner. So if it were to be explained like that, I would be like, okay, I could understand that line of reasoning. Do I think it's what you should have done, Robin? No, especially because you've like proven your friendship to Candace, I
Right.
think, in these tough moments already this season. And it's also just kind of not like a Robin thing to do. Like if Giselle
Yeah.
had done it, I'd be like,
Or Ashley. This is something I could see
yeah,
Ashley doing. It just felt out of it felt out of character for her to do
right.
that. Where
But
like
I
you're
could,
staying in the house with her, just go and just be like, yo, I just saw your Instagram live. Like, what the fuck is that about? And then she'd be like,
yeah.
no, I was just taking out my frustration. Like, but obviously that doesn't make good TV, so I get it. But it just felt weird and an overreaction.
I could understand Robin's frustration though, in the sense of like, out of everybody in this group, I have been a good friend to you regarding Chris. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she's the one person not talking shit about
Yes.
him, both to her face and behind her back. Like, Karen's
Yes.
running her mouth behind her back. Like, Giselle, obviously, Ashley is Ashley. Like, Robin has been a good friend to her regarding this. And so I think that, like, if you, me, and 5 other silent podcasters went on a trip to Miami and you were to jump on Instagram Live and be like, fuck these silent
Well, that would be
podcasters.
wild. That would be wild.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
I would be like, Katie, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
I thought we were like friends and
Yes.
not,
Yes.
so like I could see having that same type of reaction of like, I've been your friend. And so for you to be like all of these women, because especially I'm guessing that at that point, the public doesn't really know the background of
True.
like, Robin's been a good friend to
Yeah. Yeah.
Candace through this. So like,
That's true.
I can understand a dramatic response to something like that. That's why, like, I had told you, one of my coworkers texted me and she was like, what do you think of Robin Dixon? I'm like, top 2 of my top 2 favorite housewives. Sometimes she's number 1. and
Yeah.
and you were like, I don't know. And that's why it's like, I can understand how we got to this point. But I will say, to just justify my own morals, I wouldn't have done it that way. I would have
Yeah.
gone in. You still probably could have gotten a good conversation, but obviously what they did was better TV. Like Robin pulling out a
Yes.
speaker and people being like, the fuck is that? Is that Candace? Like, that's obviously
Yes.
better TV than a one-on-one conversation with Robin. But I get how we got there.
Yes. Okay. It's fair. And it did make good TV. What I would have probably preferred, I agree with your point. Candace did something publicly before it was like made public by being on the show. So I get that. And I agree with you. I maybe would have, if I'm Robin and I wanted to bring this up in a public situation, maybe I would have said, like, gone to the table and been like, so do you want to tell everyone what you said on Instagram Live last night and explain yourself? Or do you want me to tell everybody? And then like given her the chance to say it publicly to everyone and explain herself instead of just being like, here's this Bluetooth JBL speaker that I'm just plopping down on the table and like, hold on, let me just like airplay this real quick. It was a little over the top, but it did make a good TV moment. But I can understand why Candace was like, that was an ambush.
Yeah.
And I don't think if Robin said like, so your Instagram live, want to talk about it? I don't think she would have said like that was an ambush, because I think she
I
would have
agree.
let Candace explain herself before just like playing it and then having everybody pile on.
Yeah, I agree. So I will have Robin's back in the way where I can understand how we got there, but I'm not going to say that that should have been the
Yeah.
best. That was the
Yeah.
right choice.
Yeah.
And we do see them have a conversation. An episode or two later, they go and get
Well, we hear
lunch
them in
together.
FaceTime have like and Ashley's phone having a brawl in the backseat of the car after like clubbing in Miami.
Oh yeah, that was that before or after their apology? I think it was before the
That was
apology.
before. That was still in Miami.
Yeah,
The apology was in Potomac, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
What were they fighting about in the a Sprinter van always brings us drama.
Always,
And
always.
also
And like
Ashley, top notch.
I was gonna just say the same thing. Where was Lisa Rinna with this fucking phone video in Aspen, Colorado? You could
It
learn
doesn't
a thing or
exist.
two from Ashley. You could learn
Doesn't
a thing or two.
exist.
Yeah.
It
Take your
said
phone
she's
out.
just texting like Erica, which does not give you
OMG.
any like
No.
any ground to stand on. Like,
None.
oh, you and
Literally none.
Erica are no, like Ashley Darby. Which, to be fair, like Robin did earlier while the cameras were on, but Ashley Darby's like, no, I
It's
will
true.
film even when they're off, and
Yes.
really
Yes.
let us in on some behind the scenes stuff.
Yes. And then we got Mia's FaceTime version of it where she's like, who's fighting? Which was like interesting that they showed that. But they were fighting after the club. They went to the club after that
Yeah.
dinner. Everybody was getting along, having a great time with each other, even though they were all like just going at it at dinner. And then they were going at it in the car about the recording because Candace was like, this was an ambush. You should have just come and talked to me.
Yeah. But they made up.
They did.
They went and got lunch, and Robin's hairdresser lost like two family members, I think, in a car accident. So
Yes.
Robin was kind of struggling, and Candace is struggling just because if she's not fighting with Ashley, she's fighting with everyone, and which is unfortunate because I feel like Candace is in her best place as a person, but they're just making it hard for her.
They're all just like coming out of the woodwork swinging for her. And I just don't feel like she, in this season, has done anything to warrant it. Where in the past, like, she has not always made the best decisions with the way that she handles situations. But this season, Giselle came at her about Chris and she just left. Like, she left. And I appreciate that. She's like, nope, we're not doing this. I see what's happening. And like, I'm not engaging in this and I'm out. And like, I appreciate that. And that's a good way to handle it. And that to me shows personal growth from Candace. And I feel like her music is, she's on a record label. She's recording with Trina. Like, she's like doing things. She graduated. She got her MBA. Like, she's trying to have kids or trying to do, freeze her eggs. And if not, maybe just like get pregnant. Like, she's got other things in her life going on, which makes me nervous that this is going to be her last season. Cause I feel like she's like doing a lot outside of the show. And I don't want her to be like, I don't need the show anymore. Cause like the show needs you, Candace.
I don't think Candace's music gets as far as it can without Real Housewives.
Probably not.
I feel like she needs to be here if that's the avenue she wants to take. But I mean, she also has an MBA, so who knows? She's got a lot of options. But I agree with you that, especially when you lay it out like that, there's just so much that she has going on for her right now.
And like she's missed events because of music, or like she went to the BET Awards, or she went to the Grammys, or whatever she went to. I know she went to the BET Awards at one point. She was there with pictures of her on the red carpet, but I don't remember if that was after the show or on the show. Yeah, she was to the Grammys. Like, oh, I have to fly out from this stupid spring party that Karen is hosting, so to start the season because I have to go to the Grammys. Like, sorry, that's a big deal.
One of my favorite parts of the Miami trip was when she went to record with Trina or listen to that recording, and just how Wendy was there with her.
Yeah,
and
I love that.
It just seemed like so genuine, and that it didn't seem forced at all in terms of Wendy like hyping her up. And I loved when they left afterwards and they both just like screamed, like they were like holding it together in the place, and then like at the same time, like it just seemed that Candace was very appreciative of Wendy being there. Wendy was a great person to have there. She did seem genuinely happy for Candace's upcoming like endeavors and hopeful successes.
Well, because I think we're like seeing Candace realize her dreams in real time. Like these dreams are like coming to fruition in real time. And like I feel like we're seeing it hit her and become reality. And I think Wendy, as another very successful woman, probably like can feel what Candace is feeling, has felt what Candace is feeling now. And I think she's probably genuinely like very excited and supportive of this other woman who is her friend. I guess they're close friends now. I didn't realize that they were close over the last seasons, but it seems like this season they've gotten pretty close. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Finally, like, oh, this is real life. I'm in a room with Trina, or like I'm filming a video with Trina, and she was like so appreciative and like so wholesome and genuine with her. It's just like you can tell that she's like really appreciating the success that she's seeing. And she even said like she was on Watch What Happens Live a couple of weeks ago, and she said to Andy that BravoCon was like the biggest stage that she's performed on with like the largest audience. And she was just even appreciative to Andy of like, thank you so much for asking me. It just feels like she's like legit, happy with where she's at.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that.
Yeah, I'm definitely happy for Candace. I hope this isn't her last season.
I hope not too, but sometimes I get nervous when people start like missing things for
Yeah.
events that are not Housewives related. I'm just like, uh-oh, what are we doing?
Yeah, but I mean, she's still making effort to go to
Yeah, yeah.
things, so we'll see. We'll see. Is there anything else from the Miami trip that we need to highlight?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, we go home, and by home I mean Potomac. It's not like I live there, but going back to Karen Huger's
Yeah,
house.
going back to
Oh,
Surrey County.
speaking of houses,
Yes.
I did not like in this episode how Karen goes to Giselle's house and is like, just has nothing nice to say about it. That bothers me probably to a
Yeah.
personal extent. Like, who the fuck are you to go into someone else's home? And I mean, it's okay. It's one thing if it's like Alex was at the season 1 or 2 or whatever apartment
Oh
that,
yeah, and Real Housewives.
yeah, that we've like heard a real life story about.
Yes. Yes.
And like that's one thing. Okay, but
Did I say in Real Housewives? Like, obviously, we're talking about New York. I
yeah,
meant to say.
of New York, of
Yeah.
Real Houses in New York,
Yes.
where you have that like kind of shoddy apartment.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one thing,
Hmm.
but Giselle has put so much work into that house, and for Karen to just come in and be like, "The chandelier is nice. I can't say anything else, but the chandelier." I'm like, "Shut up, Karen! Like, just shut up." I got so mad at that.
I will say, when Karen was walking through the house and she was having like her facial reactions to everything, she's like, "Oh, it's beautiful." And then I saw like the black and white floor and the couch and like everything. I was like, I had a reaction a little bit. And
Mhm.
then when Karen was like, nice chandelier, it made me laugh. I just love that version of Karen when she's being shady to Giselle. I just think it's so funny. I love when they're friends, but they can be
Mhm.
shady to each other in confessionals and like mildly shady to each other in real life. Like that is my favorite version of the two of them. And I feel like that's what that was.
Yeah, we definitely are at a good place with the two
Yeah.
of them. And Giselle even recognized that, saying, if we can stay at this point, she's coming over, she's bringing my daughter's birthday gifts, and
Yeah.
they're getting along and gossiping, and it's not hostile. This is a great place for the two of them to be where, like you're saying, they can take shots at each other. It just made me
Hmm.
so mad that it was like about her house. I don't know.
Yeah.
I that just it doesn't matter. That bothers me. It's like, listen, I paid for this home. I put my
Yeah.
money into it. Um, so there was that. But we had seen scenes of Karen meeting with her assistant, her show
Yes. Was his
producer.
name Matt?
I have no idea. It was the
He's
guy that
like, he
also
just
showed
pops
up to
in every now
something
and then.
else.
He's
Was
like always around.
yeah. And they're planning her live show.
Yes, which I never realized, and I don't know if it was on the show itself, like the show proper, or on Watch What Happens Live, that Karen just does what everybody else does right after they do it. I
It was on the
never
show.
put that together.
Yeah,
Like
the
Giselle had her cosmetics
candles.
line, and then she made perfume, and then Wendy said she was coming out with a candle, so she came out with a candle, and now they're doing a live podcast, so she's doing a live show. I was like, oh, she really is doing that.
Yeah. And she kind of tries to play it off like other people copy her when
Yes, because I
she's,
forgot that Wendy came out with the candle first.
yes, she definitely did.
I
And
forgot.
Karen's big thing was like, well, mine is a 3-wick.
Yes, I had it mixed up in my head that Karen came out with a 3-wick and then Wendy came out with the what, but no, that's not what happened. Wendy asked Karen for business advice and then Karen stole her idea and then made it a
Yeah.
3-wick candle.
And just added in. That's why her her tagline this season,
Yes.
which I put this on Twitter a while ago when the taglines came out, but it does not sound like she says 3-wick in her tagline. It sounded like 3-way the first time I heard it. And so it's like, I'm a slow burn
Oh.
like a 3-wick. And when she said I'm a slow burn like a 3-way or whatever, like the exact, I'm like, Karen Huger, are you of all people talking
Right.
about a 3-way? And then someone on Twitter I read it on Twitter and I was like, oh, it was like Queens of Bravo or whatever. And I commented back saying like, I definitely heard slow burn like a 3-way. And I had a bunch of people say,
Same.
oh, me too. Like now
Oh,
I
that's
also
funny.
understand. So it wasn't just me, but yeah, she copies. They said on the show, it wasn't on Watch What Happens Live. She just takes other people's ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. She does. She definitely does.
So she's in the planning part, and we saw some of the planning part of Giselle and Robin's live show for
Mhm.
Reasonably Shady, which happened in this last episode.
Mhm.
And I was surprised at how empty the auditorium was. I
Yeah.
felt like they would have gotten more people to come to that, which
Yes.
was kind of crazy. But
I agree.
Karen was there keeping a list of things that she shouldn't do during her show. She was using it as a how not to do live shows. The host came out and like mixed up Giselle and Robin's names and kind of just like combined them into one, and they said Robin Bryant, I think, as
Why? My
opposed.
question is like, why does a live podcast need a host? Like, they are the hosts. That would be like if we had a live podcast one day and we had like someone else, some random person come out and like host us.
Yeah, that would be weird. I don't know if it's like, you know how at comedy shows where you have the MC,
Yeah, I guess it's
and
just that.
maybe it's like the equivalent of that.
It
Because it's
seems
not
weird.
like he didn't seem to be there for anything else
Yeah.
except just to introduce them so they could like
Mm.
make their entrance out into the stage. I don't know. I
I
wasn't
still don't
there.
know if like
And
you
a
need
lot of other
that.
people weren't there either. So
Yes, also true. Also true.
we can ask one of the like 40 people that showed up. But Robin
Yeah.
said they made like $14,000 off of it.
Good for them.
But I think, did she say that? I can't remember if she said that they each invested 10 grand into putting this show on,
Oh, the
or if it was
show.
a total of 10 grand of investing to put this show on.
Feels like
So,
a lot.
I mean, 20 grand to run a live show?
Feels like a lot, right?
Right.
Like, what do you need? Just two stools and some
Some
microphones
microphones.
and some chairs. Like, how much could that cost?
Yeah. I don't know. So maybe it was like a total of 10 grand. I don't know if they had to, do you think that Ashley Darby charged them to put on the dance show?
She should have. If she didn't, she should have.
Well, I mean, she can't afford a house on her own. She needs Michael Darby.
It's
So,
true. She has to get that money any way she can.
yeah, that the live show happened, and I'm trying to think of the other things that Karen said that she shouldn't do. Oh, don't have like a boring dance segment. And there's one other part, but Karen was just there, like taking him out at the knees. But it looks like in the preview that Karen's show is going to be a fucking mess.
Yes. Well, I love that. Like, when Giselle and Karen were talking, she's like, okay, let me like explain to me the show. And she's like, okay, I'm starting to get it. I'm starting to get it. And then she's like, I don't get it.
Yeah, and her
And I
confessional.
don't get it either. I don't get what Karen's doing here.
No, when the assistant was going off and being like, "We're gonna have a segment of this and then a segment of that," I'm like, "What? Can Karen do all these things? Like, is she capable of all these different
Right.
talents?"
It's interesting. Karen
So that's
is such an interesting person to me.
yes, absolutely.
She said on Watch What Happens Live that she was inspired by Wendy Williams and not Giselle and Robin, which Maybe, but I don't disagree with her because she was like, oh, we're going to have like hot topics or whatever she said at the beginning. I was like, oh, that is like straight from Wendy Williams.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, maybe she really did get inspired from Wendy Williams. Who knows?
Yeah, it's just the timing of it. Like what has to be within a couple of weeks at most later
Yes. Yeah,
of
exactly.
since their show.
Yeah.
Outside of the Miami trip, so what, back in Potomac, I feel like Ashley has been just kind of quiet this season.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She takes her shots at Candace, and we talk about her trying to buy a house.
Yeah. And she was like upset about Michael and doing everything on her own. And we saw her uncle and her aunt and
Yeah.
like whatever. I don't care about Michael and this storyline.
No.
Like I've never cared about Michael, and it's changed my opinion of Ashley for the significantly negative that she was married to Michael for so long. And we already know how I feel about Ashley's kids, so like I'm not going to talk about it again because I'm not going to put it out there again. But my feelings are well known about those kids. Although I did see a picture of them that she posted for Christmas and they got cuter. I will say. They look less like Michael and a little more like Ashley now, so they got a little cuter. But they still have that Darby in them, you know?
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. What I want, and I don't know if you've been following this because I know you're not a summer house or a winter house person.
Oh, I've seen.
I want to know more about Ashley and Luke. And it's an unpopular opinion, but I'm not here for it. Everybody's like, this makes me believe in love. And I'm like, Luke is gross. And I don't really like Ashley that much. So, like, I'm not here really for this relationship, personally.
I don't know anything about Luke. I just know that they've been kind of like in cahoots for a while, right? They were seen together around the time of BravoCon. And they posted a picture together, and Robin coming through being like, okay, so is this your boyfriend?
Okay, is this your boyfriend? Yeah.
And people acting negatively to that, where it's like, listen, I have friends that when I see them post an Instagram story with a guy, I'm immediately texting or DMing on Instagram being like, who the fuck's that? Like, who are you posting pictures of? Yeah. I don't I wouldn't do it publicly, but I mean, again, if you're going to post publicly, be ready for public reactions.
It's true. No, it's true. It's true. It's true.
I don't think that it was like that outlandish for Robin to say. She said what a lot of us were thinking.
Yes. And I mean, like, obviously they are posting all the time together.
Sorry, Valencia distracted me. Nitro is not in the room. I think he's out in the living room currently. So, or family room.
Slacking
I don't know what
on
I
his
would call
third
it.
co-host duties.
Yeah, he hasn't been in here for the whole podcast. He was at the beginning. If he comes in, you'll see that door.
Swing open.
Yeah. But he's not big on opening doors. I usually have to open them for him. He's a little princess.
Aw.
It's my boy.
What a cutie.
All right, so Ashley, boring this season, but still Ashley Darby. And when she has moments of having her her typical presence, but Mia that whole thing is a mess. Like why do we care, first of all, who Mia and her husband are or are not sleeping with? That as long as everyone is consenting, I don't care about this storyline a lot.
I don't care at all. And I don't care about Jacqueline.
No, Jacqueline, I don't like Jacqueline.
I don't care about Mia. So it's like, I really don't care. I just don't care in general.
It just seems desperate to seem interesting to remain on the show. Like, oh, we lead this non-traditional marriage lifestyle. Like, honestly, I don't care.
Nope.
I don't care that you guys like shared a person like 20 years ago. I don't care.
No, I don't care either. And I don't care about her chiropractic clinic, especially after like all the stuff that came out about like her brother or Gordon's brother, like icing them out of the business or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this came out like right before I think the show started airing this season. Some drama happened with Gordon's brother.
Got it. If I saw it, I don't remember it.
But it seemed like this past week's episode, they were talking a little bit about money and like business deals falling through and then being like, well, we need our business deals to come through. But it just seems like they're playing fast and loose a little bit with the money. That's the vibe I got.
Got it. Okay, so there's those two. Candace, we've said, is it seems like we're gonna have more Candace issues next week, and not in like a negative way, but she's going to have to face more issues. When she said like don't bring that Sesame Street character around.
Oh, I missed
In the
this. Was this in
preview,
the preview? I missed the preview.
It's in the preview. She called uh
Oh, Ashley's stupid friend who was like, wait, he hit on
yes.
me? Yes. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Objectively, this woman has some interesting facial features. Just
Okay. I forget what she looks like. I know we've seen her in an episode. She's like one of
yeah,
her mommy friends or something. Yeah.
it just seems
That
like her
Sesame Street.
face is like maybe
Candace
like
is so funny.
stretched in a weird way. I'm not sure, and I don't understand plastic surgery enough to like comment on
Mm.
it. So I'll just say it has interesting features. And we saw the preview of the like keep your Sesame Street looking friend. I just was cracking up, but
This is why I love Candace because she just
mhm.
says the most wild shit sometimes out of nowhere and it just truly cracks me up. She, to me, is maybe the second funniest housewife aside from like Nene.
Yeah,
Portia is very funny too. Kenya's really
yeah.
funny. But Candace is like up there with Nene to me as like one of. She's not as memeable. Nene has great memes,
Hmm.
and she's like, she just is living on in infamy forever. But Candace just really truly makes me laugh.
Yeah, she's funny.
So does Karen.
Yeah, but in a different way. Karen makes me
Yeah,
laugh in a different way than Candace
yeah,
does.
yeah. Me
Because
too.
I feel like a lot of times I'm laughing with Candace, and a lot of times I'm laughing at Karen.
Oh, I feel like Karen is almost more of like a character and
That's
she's
why I
like
feel like
putting on
I'm
a show and
laughing
she's
at
making me
her.
laugh. Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I don't
Because
like,
I'm
I
not
just
like
am.
pointing, like being like, haha, you, but I'm laughing at like the show she's putting on where Candace just
Hmm.
like says these, like, she just comes out with things that they truly catch me off guard and they just make me laugh so hard.
Yeah, I'm just not convinced that like Karen is the most self-aware. Like there's
No, I don't think so
so
either.
that's why I feel like I'm
Yeah.
laughing at her, where
Hmm.
to me like Candace knows when she's a mess and when she has like is validated in being a hurricane and everything in between.
Yeah.
Where Karen, I'm just like okay, Karen,
Yeah.
like you said, she's a character, and I'm
Yeah.
I'm laughing at the character, but I'm laughing with Candace. I'm along for the ride with Candace.
Hmm. Hmm.
Giselle celebrated the twins' 16th birthday.
And Jamal was there. That
Jamal
was
was
a
there.
sweet 16 birthday
I
party.
liked
It
it
was
because it,
nice.
yeah, it like a lot. You think of like my super sweet 16 and
Yeah.
Giselle and Jamal have the opportunity to provide the girls like with that type of party, and the
Yeah.
fact that they really didn't want that, and it was, I just thought it's like, I to me it seemed like okay, you've brought these girls up in a way that I
Yeah.
respect.
Yeah. Agreed. Totally agree.
And you can tell just like the interactions that they have with Giselle too. Like they give her shit, but not in a disrespectful way in
Hmm.
the banter. So
Yeah. Yeah, I like their relationship.
Robin, we've talked about, has was an enemy in Miami, but when they got back, she worked on having those apologies and with the people that she was feuding with. But we're
Hmm.
also seeing, we're also getting a lot of Robin Juan Dixon content of some prenup stuff.
This is also something I really don't care about. I have to be honest. It just makes me dislike Juan, and I don't want to dislike Juan because he's
Right.
so attractive.
I I don't exactly mind seeing this, and I think it's because one, I think the concept of prenups are interesting
Hmm.
because there's so many people who feel like so staunchly about them one way or the
Yes.
other, and then,
Yes.
like I don't understand that. And I do think that we've gotten to see a bit of like the evolution of their relationship. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't mind as much, but I I don't really appreciate people's reactions to her saying like, "Yeah, our wedding is going to be the four of us." Like, back
Right.
off. You don't need to know the date. This is what we're doing, and how negatively people are reacting. Like,
Yeah.
so do you care that they're getting married, or do you just want a free party? Like,
Right.
what's your stance here as her friend? Like, what is
Exactly.
this?
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. It's weird. Especially because they've been married before. It's not like this is their first wedding to each other. They've already done the wedding. Let them just do whatever they want.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's even if it was their first wedding, it's still none of your fucking business.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
let people do whatever they want. But we've talked about this how people stick their noses in other people's relationships way too
relationships and
much.
especially weddings. Like,
Weddings, yeah.
politely, it's not yours,
None of
it's
your
not your
business.
money. Like,
Yeah.
are you going to be paying for it? No,
Right.
because if you did, then you'd get to make decisions. And I don't want your stupid ass decisions in my wedding.
Yep. Agreed. Agreed.
So, um, I don't mind seeing the prenup conversations, but I just wish people would back off of them with their wedding date.
Yeah.
They gave you the engagement on the show. You don't need everything. Like, they are allowed
Right.
to have a level of privacy to what they're doing as well.
Especially because their relationship is always under such scrutiny. It's like, just let them live.
Mhm.
Every season, it's been like, you don't even have a relationship, blah, blah, whatever. It's just like, let them do whatever they want.
Yeah, Karen's like, "Oh, Juan Dixon showed up." Like, wow, to
Right.
the live show. It's like, shut up, Karen.
Yeah. Truly, shut up.
He also is a college basketball coach. Like, that is such
Yep.
an involved job where Ray's like 89 and has to stay home because he can't physically go anywhere else.
Right. Right.
Okay,
What did
talk
you
about
think
Giselle.
about Ray getting involved with Chris, telling him to apologize
Oh,
to
I
Giselle?
forgot about that at the MBA graduation
Mm-hmm.
party, right? Um, I was kind of surprised. I don't exactly hate it, but I'm team Chris on this through and through.
Yeah. What I'm not Team Chris on is how I feel like in some of these big moments for Candace, he can't just like put it aside for 5 minutes. Like,
Hmm.
your wife just graduated with her MBA and she's inside giving a toast to everybody, and you're outside like pouting because Ray just spoke out of turn and told you to apologize to Giselle. Like, big deal. You should be inside supporting your wife.
Yeah, I. The other part I'm not team Chris on is his tweets. It's like he went to Candace's school of tweeting,
Yeah, I don't
and
love Chris. I have to be honest. He's not something about him. I don't think any of this is like true, what they're saying, but there's something about like his general demeanor that like bothers me. I don't know if it's the way that he like speaks to some of the women or like how he reacts to Candace in some ways, but there's something about him that rubs me the wrong way and I can't put my finger on what it is.
oh, I think it's because he is a functioning alcoholic that is politely just not good enough for Candace. But
He,
that's my personal opinion.
I agree with you. You enlightened me to him being a functioning alcoholic, and now I like can't unsee it.
Yeah, he's always drunk.
Yeah,
Like, why do you need to be drunk at the reunion?
you
This
definitely
whole
don't
thing
need to be. It's not
probably
about you.
right. And also, you're on national television in front of, like, you know what you say is going to be aired on there. I'm sure they have hours of film, obviously, of reunions, but like when they bring the men out, it's not, they're going to be putting that on there. And
Yeah.
you don't need to be drunk at that. Be sober for that. Because also, if you're sober for that, then this whole storyline probably doesn't happen.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I think as someone who just went on a trip for work, thinking to the situation between Giselle and Chris, and I'm not defending Giselle here at all. I do think she's blowing this whole thing out of proportion and she's using it as a storyline and a way to go after Chris and Candace. But I can understand if I'm in a hotel, granted it's different, right? Like, but they were at the hotel. It was a bedroom, they said. It was not the dressing room, it was the bedroom. So like to go into a hotel room with a drunk man who's a husband of someone else, who's a coworker with the door closed, like it's a little weird. It is a little weird. And I would probably feel uncomfortable. Like I'm thinking to like my trip to Romania, and if I was with a male coworker and he like was like, "Hey, I just want to talk to you," and like came into my hotel room, I would feel weird.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't realize it was a hotel room.
I'm pretty sure they're saying it's like a bed. They're it like I don't want to be in a bedroom with someone else's husband. Like I feel like that's what they're saying.
But isn't it at like a? It felt like it was at the studio, like after they filmed. I don't. We don't really have whatever it is. I
Yeah.
don't think Chris had any bad or
No, I don't think so
intentions. I don't
either.
think he's dumb enough to try and fuck around with one of her castmates.
No,
Like
that would be
that's
ridiculous.
yeah, and I don't think there's any bad intentions. Obviously, optics and perception can create a reality that's unfavorable, but
Yep.
I don't think he's helping himself by the way he's tweeting about it. Or I mean, he doesn't have to forgive Giselle, but also some of his actions are not making it any easier for Candace.
Yep,
Like
I
if
agree.
Giselle and him were to just sit down with Candace and Giselle say, "It made me feel uncomfortable. However, I don't think you were doing anything."
Yes. I don't
And
think you had
Chris
any
is
ill
like,
intentions, but I just want to let you know, like, that made me feel uncomfortable. I
"Yeah."
think that's
And
fine. I think that's fine.
if Chris had, and Chris says, like, "Yeah, I could see that," it ends. But instead, his actions aren't helping the situation at
No,
all.
I agree. I agree.
Um,
Agreed.
all right. So we've talked about, I think, everyone at this point except Charisse. Do you want anything you want to say about
What is
Charisse?
there to say? Nothing. And I actually don't dislike Charisse, but like, there's no
Right.
reason for her to be on the show. What's she doing? What's she adding? She doesn't have a bathroom in Miami, and
That's
she wanted
true.
to stay at a
She was
hotel. It's
at
like
a
you have to stay in the
hotel.
house, otherwise you're not going to be on camera, Charisse. You're a friend of. Like, you don't have a storyline. They're not going to follow you to a hotel.
Yeah. But I think we've caught up on the major storylines for
I think
Potomac.
so too. I think so too.
I'm hoping that Candace doesn't get put in a situation in this next episode that puts her in defense mode,
Me too.
where there's the line between her hilarious insults of people and um like when she has to go for the jugular, that's what gets her in trouble.
Yep.
I hope she doesn't feel like she has to go for the jugular.
I hope not as well. But if she does, I'll laugh at whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is that she has to say because I'm sure it'll be funny.
Oh, absolutely.
And I will support her forever and always. With an asterisk, of course, given, she doesn't do anything super horrible.
Right. 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 We have to leave room
Of course, yeah.
for
There's
error,
always
a
room for me
margin
to
of
walk
error.
that back. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else we need to say about Potomac?
I don't think so. I think we covered it. I feel good. We're caught up now.
Mm-hmm.
I like that we're doing one episode per franchise just to get ourselves caught up in present day and then we can go back to
Mm-hmm.
our normal format. I think it's good.
Where do you stand on the season so far? How do you feel about it? To
Um,
wrap it up.
I like it. It's not my favorite season of all time, but I like it. I mean, anytime we have Potomac, I'm happy. Like it could be a bottom tier season of Potomac, and that's how I feel about Jersey as well. Like anytime we have Jersey, I'm happy that it's on. It doesn't matter if it's
Yeah.
good or if it's not. Like I'm just happy because I enjoy these women. I don't think I enjoy all of the Jersey women to the same extent, but I just enjoy watching them. Like I feel like they give good TV, even on the bad seasons.
Mm-hmm.
But I love Karen. I love, as much as I disagree with how Giselle and Robin are acting this season, like I generally just really enjoy this whole cast. Even Ashley, who is not my favorite, she makes good TV, so I appreciate her. The only one who I
Yeah.
really just dislike is Mia.
Yeah. Mia seems to be doing too much.
Yeah. Even her, I think she does add a little something, but I just don't like her.
I don't mind her confessionals. I just don't
Yeah.
like the storyline surrounding her, and because a lot of it doesn't feel natural, it feels forced.
Yes.
You didn't have to throw that drink at Wendy.
Yeah. No,
You
of
do
course
not
not.
have to be putting your sex life on blast.
You don't have to be
Um,
talking as if you're Peter's mouthpiece. Like, it doesn't matter.
yeah, I don't. I just think that a lot of what she's doing doesn't fit the general Potomac vibe. A lot of their stuff just organically happens.
Yep. Yep. Agreed. Totally
Even
agree.
like Candace's fight with Monique, like far more organic.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
No GMO,
No
nothing.
GMO. Nope. Nope.
All right. Well, we are going to be back soon, I think
Yeah,
tomorrow, with
I think
some
so.
Salt Lake City. But in the
And I'm ready. I
meantime,
just want to warn everybody. I'm raging out on this entire season of Salt Lake City. Like, I think it's one of the worst seasons of Housewives of all time. And I have so many things to say about Jen Shah and Heather Gay. Like, I can't wait to just rip into them tomorrow. So I'm waiting until we watch tonight's episode so I can be fully informed on the black eye situation. We talked about it before we started recording. So I
mhm.
can have a fully formed opinion, but I'm ready to completely go in. So this was pleasant. And tomorrow I will be unpleasant when talking about the show.
Well, tomorrow we're going into our 40s. So, what a way to kick it off
Oh,
besides raging out about Salt Lake
wow.
City.
Yeah. Well, I'm ready.
Until people get to listen to us again tomorrow, what are you doing on the internet?
You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Hive, Mastodon, Post.news, all these other random things that are coming up. I signed up for every single one of them just to get Real Some Katie without an underscore. So you can follow me on any of those places at Real Some Katie. You'll find me there somewhere. You can also follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Real Some Katie with an underscore, unfortunately, at the bottom, at the end. And you can
Did
find me tomorrow.
I was sorry. Did you play Among Us
I
yesterday with
did.
like
I did.
was it rap people?
Yes, Kirsten put on a lobby of Among Us came out with like a new game mode, hide and seek, and it was
Hmm.
super fun. We had some other silent podcasters on there. We had, was it just Sasha? Who's the other silent podcaster? I don't remember. I think just Sasha and I. But there were a number of other folks. So if you want to catch the VODs, they're up on a bunch of people's Twitch, but it was a lot of fun. And yeah, I'm trying to go live like 3 days a week or so. So you can check me out there. Drop a follow. It's free if you would like to support. And that's it. Well, I'll be here with you, Carrie, for
Hmm.
TJ Hates Quitters at some point. There's a new episode of the challenge on tonight. We're recording this on Wednesday. And tomorrow we'll be back on Thursday live on YouTube. And then you can check it out on the podcast apps to talk about all things Salt Lake City, where I'm going to rage out. But that's it. I'm not really doing that much on sound podcasts these days. I'm in a lull.
Yeah. I think I think my lull is about to end because of shows coming up,
Oh,
but we can
true.
talk about that. So I'm KGD26 on not as many social media platforms as Katie, but I'm on there. So I am on Hive. I haven't been on it since like the first day I downloaded it.
Same. I don't look at it, but I'm on there.
Yeah. And um, in terms of podcasting, I'll be here with Katie tomorrow. We'll talk about the challenge sometime later in the week. And coming up in, I believe, a week from today, the circle comes back out. So I'll be doing something
Yes.
for that. Haven't organized it yet, but realizing it's a week away, I probably should. And if you aren't watching UK Traders, highly suggest you do.
Highly, highly suggest it.
Did you watch last night's episode?
Not yet.
Okay. I won't say anything, but in a Discord channel that I'm in, I went full caps locks about quite a few things. So,
Okay. Okay. I'll watch it tonight.
yeah. Um, so that's my plug for TV. Watch that because Katie and I will likely be covering the American version of it that comes out in a few weeks. So,
Along with Javier, which will be
uh huh.
exciting.
But if you want to just catch more videos of what we're doing, like Isaiah's Big Brother season, what are they calling it? Or what's he calling
I
it?
think just Big Brother reviews, big
Yeah,
season
reviews,
reviews.
season reviews, recaps. I don't know. He's bringing on a bunch of different people. The most recent one had Taryn and is it Peridium?
Yep.
Peridium?
Peridium.
I just read things online. I can't say them out loud. So he's covering all those seasons. We have some end of season Survivor coverage. You can go and check out Katie's work with Andor. Just we got stuff. We got stuff. So go check it out
I think
on.
Gia's going to be doing a Survivor rewatch podcast for Fiji, and it sounds like
Yeah,
she has some really good guests coming up. So
yeah.
check that out too.
Mm-hmm. Definitely support that. You can find it on Twitch or YouTube by searching Silent Podcasts. You can also see what we're up to on Twitter, silent_podcasts. You can listen to us in podcast form, Apple, Spotify, the other ones, wherever they are. Rate, subscribe, review. If this wasn't 5 stars, which I don't know, we gave you like 4 weeks of Potomac in an hour and 24 minutes. I don't know what the fuck else you could want from us. So
Right?
give that 5 stars. And if this wasn't, just wait, be patient. We've got a bunch of things coming up for you. Something has to meet the 5-star quality within the near future, I'm sure. But until then, enjoy listening to whatever else you're listening to besides us. I don't know what you would listen to besides us. So we'll be back tomorrow with Salt Lake City coverage. So if you are looking to get angry on a Thursday,
Oh, I can't wait.
we
I
love
can't
it.
wait to let it out. I was like, I famously, not famously, but I just don't take notes for
Yeah.
podcasts that I don't host. Like I'm not host, like you host this. And I was catching up on Salt Lake and I was like, I'm going to rage write some notes right now. I didn't do it, but I'm like, I'm going to remember what I want to talk about here. And because I was like, I'm going to start raging and just write all these things down. I didn't do it because I felt like that would have put me like over the top in rage. So I wanted to save it.
Got it. Well, I'm looking forward to it because I know I don't like this season, but you seem like you really, really, really don't like this
Oh, I
season.
hate it. I hate
Yeah.
it. I have never seen such a fall from grace like the Salt Lake City Housewives. It
Yeah, it's
started
true.
off so good and now it's like literally at the bottom of the trash can.
Absolutely. And we'll talk about that tomorrow. So until then, see you later. Bye.
Bye.